Can you give us a bit more insight into sort of the most transformative aspects of Nevio?
The first thing is actually a reality check. It's why we are going towards that. And if you think about how we manipulate the records nowadays for a passenger journey, so we have this PNR-centric approach, which is you have PNRs, you have tickets, you have EMDs. And if you go beyond, we have for interoperability and we have the TTY, so the teletype messaging and so on. And those things made perfect sense when we were looking to bring standards progressively to unify a very operation-oriented industry. But that was really airline specific and centric, I would say. And today, what we see is the industry is really calling for an expansion beyond. And that will involve more and more actors that are not necessarily directly connected to the legacy business, I would say, of airlines, something much more complex. And with offers that are going to go beyond just flight and ancillary. So sticking to those legacy standards is actually a constraint that we have to tackle. And if you look at it from the data side, so data is, or the work on data is a lot more recent than the work on the PSS journey for airlines. So in a sense, you would expect it's more evolved, but still the way it has appeared in our industry and most industries actually has been very fragmented. There are different silos with different pieces of information, but you don't have the full puzzle. And this is again a constraint that the industry need to tackle. So those constraints, that's what actually is a bit blocking and that we need to evolve.
Indeed, Fred, you've explained lots of the constraints that we explored today, and really with Nesio, we're gonna just like get rid of that. Basically, we're gonna be able to deliver value through the entire traveler journey. I'm gonna explain a bit more, give a couple of examples. So first, we're gonna break down silos. Today, we have lots of different systems that are interconnected and so on, and it was added over time. Here we are starting from scratch, so we can, from the start, basically build a system that is totally seamless, and we can share real-time data across all touch points, all channels. Second thing, it's again about AI. So we want to really enable traveler-centric capabilities. And for example, we are already using this when it comes to customer model choice or predicting travel demand. And really, we think Nevio as really a traveler-centric system. So we place the traveler at the center, and then we build all the process and decision around. So we build, for example, a 360 view of the travelers so that airlines know who they are in front of them, and they can really deliver the personalized and contextual offer across all touch points. Also, what is super important is that we orchestrate the journey with real-time problem solving. So for example, we all know that, but for description, we're going to place really the traveler at the heart of it. And thanks to all the information we're going to gather, the real-time data exchange and so on, we're going to be able to solve much more quickly really critical situation. Basically, it's the essence of what we want to do with Nevio.
Could I ask you to share a couple more concrete examples to explain how Nevio actually will help improve the traveler experience?
I've been an expat for quite a time now and spent 10 years in Singapore before. And as many expats, I have a pattern, which is, going back to my home country once a year. In my case, Christmas time was the time. And of course, we are full of baggages. And we usually buying the extra baggage allowance and extra legroom seats for the family on that occasion. Struggling, of course, to book a large taxi for all the baggages because sometimes the taxi you get has not enough space. So that makes the journey, I would say, a bit of an experience by itself, not always in a good way. I remember that year, so that was actually 2018. And so I logged in, I booked as usual, but that time I didn't buy the extra baggage allowance. There was a reason that year why I didn't buy the baggage allowance is my status actually as a frequent flyer went to gold. And when you're gold, you have basically extra baggage allowance included. So I didn't need that. So the AI trip assistant will actually be leveraging Nevio's capability, and it will know my past pattern, and without those silos about which system has which information and so on. So it will basically know my pattern for holiday trip with extra bag. It will also know that, oh, this year he is gold from his membership. So we don't need to include the extra baggage allowance because he already has some, but maybe we can do something else. And maybe the analysis shows that people traveling on family trips are looking for convenience, and that's a key aspect for their journey. So maybe they will give me some recommendations or some items that are more towards that. And maybe this time they will give me a welcome message asking if I'm looking for my traditional family trip when I log in, because they will know that it's more or less the time that I look for that. Maybe they will suggest dates that are optimal in terms of price for me, and prepare a bundle that this time will not include the extra baggage, but maybe a lounge access, because the gold status give me access for 2 people and or one guest basically. And but I'm traveling with my child, so should I leave my child or the wife outside? Guess not. But there is a place for customizing the bundle here, and basically suggesting me maybe a lounge access for the extra person, because the gold status only include one guest. So that could be one thing. And maybe also suggesting to pre-book a large Uber ride, because we are a large family and usually we have extra baggage allowance. And you know what? Cherry on top, I guess, the system will know that I have enough miles to cover part of my trip. So maybe it can adapt my payment method and say, look, we have your credit card, we have your miles. You can pay that split, that much in miles, that much in currency on your stored credit card, and ease the payment process and limit the dropout. That's actually things that are happening today progressively. Not necessarily everything at one go, but that's where we see things going, and that's what Nevio wants to enable.